My name is Charlotte. I was in a relationship that was really abusive. He would be physically, verbally, emotionally abusive. He would be really controlling. He would always think that I'm cheating on him. He would always be accusing me of being certain places or being with certain people when I wasn't. Every week we would be arguing or we would be breaking up. Especially when the weekends came, Fridays or Saturdays, we would end up going out, drinking, smoking, and even sometimes doing drugs. This made him even more violent. He turned into someone else that I didn't recognize, and I would be trapped in his room where it was just me and him, and he would just go crazy. At the time, I felt trapped, and I knew what I was in or what I was going through wasn't right. But at the same time, I didn't want to leave because I didn't want to be lonely. I didn't want to be left without someone to go to or to speak to. I knew I didn't deserve what I was going through, but it was the fear of being by myself or the fear of not having someone with me. I realized my value as a woman and how I should be treated. I was healed and transformed and found the strength to move on, to realize what I was holding inside of me, what I needed to change about myself so that I can realize my value. Charlotte today is stronger. I'm free. I have hope for the future, for my future relationship that I will have.
Hello, a very good evening and welcome to Finding Answers. Tonight we're talking about when a door closes, another one opens. And that's always how it works in life. So the question is not whether a new door will open for you. The question is, will you be ready? Will you be motivated enough to go through that door? Because the thing about doors is this, is that even though they may be opened, unless you have the courage and the determination to walk through them, it doesn't really matter if they're open or not. You can have a door leading you to, a wonderful space or a wonderful open space outside, and you may see the view, it may look great, but unless you have the courage, you have, the drive to stand up and say, I'm gonna go, then there's no point for that door to be open. And there's a lot of people who complain, who cry over the fact that they've lost opportunities, over the fact that other people get opportunities and they don't. There's a lot of people who cry about the fact that if they only had grabbed an opportunity that they had years before, they would be better off now. And the thing is, it doesn't matter if you lost that opportunity or not. It doesn't matter if that door closed for you. What matters is that at some point, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, another door will open. The question is, will you be ready to walk through that door? Let's have a look at this video and we'll be right back.
There is a quote that goes, "When one door closes, another opens." But we often look so long and so regretfully upon the closed door that we do not see the one which is opened for us. This quote is related to missed opportunities, but it can also be taken to mean that when some pathways in our lives are obstructed, taking another path could actually be more positive. It could be seen as when you lose one opportunity, you often find a different one. Often people are attached to the past, to what they are familiar with, and therefore may miss opportunities that stand right in front of them. Doors may close, but there are always an unlimited number of new doors and therefore new opportunities. The world is full of opportunities, but often we don't always see them. It's okay that not every plan in your life works out. Sometimes there are losses and failures. Sometimes there are problems in relationships. People lose money, jobs, or meet unpleasant things. We don't always have control over these events, but we can have control over our mind and attitude. When these things happen, some people focus their attention on the loss or the closed door. This is due to frustration or unhappiness. If you move your sight and attention away from the closed door, you might be surprised to discover new open doors. Try to be aware of your thoughts. Develop a degree of self-discipline. Try to think positive thoughts and see change as a chance for new opportunities.
Welcome back. So let's take away the idea of the open doors and closed doors. Let's talk about your motivation to walk through those doors. Let's talk about you know, having had so many missed opportunities that now you don't even try. Or perhaps you tried going for opportunities, you know, that you thought you had. The doors were closed in your face and you thought, what's the point of even trying? And I was even thinking of an example. How many guys or girls, doesn't matter, they liked someone, you know, earlier in life when they were teenagers, and they tried to get the girl. They tried to get the girl's attention, to get the girl to like them, but they always missed out on that girl to someone else. And it sort of gets to a point where the person's mind gets programmed to not even try. And that's perhaps one of the saddest things in life, because if you try and you failed, at least you can say you tried. But then when you don't even try, then what's the point of being alive? If you don't even try, isn't it better just to die? Forgive me, I know it may sound very grim, but the truth is that as long as you keep trying, you're alive. I was talking about this with Victoria. Good evening, Victoria.
Good evening.
What do you think about what we just said?
Well, I did have a think about it, and especially if somebody is constantly being subjected to something negative, or nobody ever likes them back, or they try and go for a job and they never get it. So psychologists will call this learned helplessness. So basically you learn to be helpless, and the way that they discovered this phenomenon was originally on animals, because back in the old days they used to test animals before they decided to spread this theory to human beings. And there was a psychologist who, it's not very nice, would lock a dog in a kennel and keep the door shut for many years, and then he would finally open the door. But because the dog had learned to be helpless, so they never believed that anything good were ever going to happen, when they did finally open the door, the dog wouldn't even walk out. So it's a phenomenon, it's all about classical conditioning. So you will associate one thing with another. So with human beings, if you've had negative experience time and time again, and you had doors shut in your face, then you will never find the motivation or the willingness to try again.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of courage, Victoria, for a person to fail at something 2, 3 times, 4 times, 100 times, and still keep going, right? Usually people say that the guy who invented the light bulb, is it Thomas Edison?
Yes.
Is it Thomas Edison?
I think so.
You think so? I don't know. That he tried, I don't know how many hundreds of times or thousands of times. Now, for a guy to have tried those many times and kept going, that's the kind of attitude you want in life, right?
That's it. And I did actually, I did look at this guy, and I think didn't he fail 10,000 times?
Something like that,
yeah.
yeah.
But he said, and I did read the quote last week, something like, all I found was how the light bulb doesn't work 10,000 times, and he just turned it around that way.
Yeah, and by the way, during the break we're going to look at how many times he did it, so we're not quoting the wrong facts. Now, what we want you to do here tonight is, we're not talking about light bulbs or about, what we want you to do is that maybe you've thrown the towel at life. You know that saying, that you've thrown in the towel, you don't even try anymore, you gave up. Maybe you go through life not even trying anymore. So you don't even try to have a relationship anymore because you've been abused so many times, because you've been let down so many times. Maybe you don't even try to start a business because even though you have these ideas and the drive, you had the drive to have the business, you don't even try anymore because you tried and you failed. Maybe you don't even try to be independent, to pay off your debts, because every time you pay off a credit card, something happens and you create another debt that you didn't expect. So maybe you've given up on life. Maybe you said, I don't want to try anymore. And there are doors open before you, but you've quit. You've quit. And they say that if you're going to quit something, then quit quitting, right? How much sense does that make? That's a perfect quote. Maybe you've become a quitter, you don't even try because of the bad experiences you had. Maybe you lack that drive. You know, God can be an injection of strength. And I'm going to give you one last example before we go to the break. We've been doing this program here every single day for about 2 years. Myself, even though we had Finding Answers before. And every day for 2 years, Monday to Friday, we come here. When it's not me, another pastor. Where do we find the motivation every day to tell you things are going to change, your life is going to change? And we never change our mind. We believe that with our heart until the end. Until it's over. You know why? Because every day, when you have this living God with you, every day you wake up with a renewed attitude and strength. Even though you may have failed once, you may have failed 10 times, you keep going. You don't give up because you know it's possible to succeed. Maybe you've lost that. You've lost that strength. You've lost that desire to fight. Maybe you were a fighter. Maybe people knew you as someone who never quit, who never gave up. People knew you as someone who would fight until the end and you would never shy away from a battle. If someone said you can't do this, that's when you wanted to do it. Even more, just to prove them wrong. If someone said to you in a bet, you can't get the girl, you would do whatever it takes to get the girl. You can't start off that business, you would do whatever it takes. Maybe you lost that and you want it back. You want your life back. You want to be alive again. Maybe you're not alive. You are just surviving like a zombie. You're plodding along in life. Listen, I want you to receive an injection today of life. That prayer you'll receive can be an injection of life to change your future. And our team is ready to speak to you right now. They're by the phone, standing by the phone, ready to speak to you right now. The number is 020-7686-6300, 020-7686-6300, or help@findinganswers.tv. You can contact us right now. You can also contact us via Facebook and Twitter. How can people do that, Victoria?
So if you'd like to contact us via Twitter, just send us a tweet and start your tweets with @FindAnswersTV, or have a look for Finding Answers on Facebook.
We're going to go into a short break. We'll be right back.
I was an alcoholic, but before that I grew up in a family who were alcoholics. My lowest point was when I was at the hospital and my GP told me that I had problems with my liver. I heard about the help center when my son invited me. On a Tuesday was the day that you could come for prayers. This was in July 1997 when I stopped drinking completely, and I'll never drink again.
This is your UCKG timetable. We are open 7 days a week, helping you to make a new beginning. Mondays, a meeting focused on achieving more in your financial life. Tuesdays, prayers for healing. Wednesdays, a meeting teaching you to develop in your spiritual life. Thursdays, a special prayer for the family. Friday, a service for your spiritual deliverance. Saturdays, Find the One, a service specifically tailored for your love life. Sundays, reconnect with God, the main meeting for your spiritual strength.
Hello and welcome back to Finding Answers. Now earlier we did refer to the man who invented the light bulb, and I knew there was a quote there somewhere. So it was Thomas Edison, and this was his quote about failure and success. "I have not failed 10,000 times. I have not failed once. I have succeeded in proving that those 10,000 ways will not work. When I have eliminated the ways that will not work, I will find the way that will work."
So that's the kind of determination we have to have.
Absolutely.
Now, let me show you a young man who's in the studio with me. His name is Raphael. Please, Raphael, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Raphael here, his story is very interesting because he had a lot of closed doors that he closed himself. A lot of the doors that closed in your life, Raphael, is because you closed yourself. You made some very poor choices.
Yes, right.
He's going to let us know about that in just a second. What I want you to do is the following, is that if you feel that the doors are closing in on you, the walls are closing in on you, whether because of some choices you've made, whether because of some things that you went through, I want to tell you that this can change. Everything in life can change. Nothing remains the same, nothing. In fact, there's a song that goes like that, right? But that's for another show. Let's go and meet Raphael and listen to his story right now.
Pushing me for the rest of the week, so it's like a boost.
Things were really tight.
Today, the way I see myself is completely different.
So this young man sitting here next to me, Raphael, you had a good start at life, at your dream, right? Tell us about your story.
Well, I did have a good start, but at the same time, I was messing it up from the beginning. I came from an area where it was all about gangs from the get-go, from 14. So I had a lot of talent from young age. You know, I was winning, championships in my district, in my county from 13, 14.
For people who don't know what you used to do, what did you used to do before?
I used to play football. I used to play football. I still do. But yeah, I used to play football. So from that 14, I had people coming in and out my house, agents and, clubs trying to sign me and whatnot. And, it was really good, it was really good. But at the same time, I was, involved with gang life, highly involved with it.
So for you, that must have been a dream come true to know that there were so many people after your talent.
I did, but I didn't value it because I don't know, maybe because I had so much after me and I always knew my ability, I didn't value it. So I would do things like, I would finish school and I would go mess about with, with the boys in the area or whatever, do some things that are wrong. And then from there, I would literally run to training instead of me resting at home, getting ready to train and whatnot. And
didn't you see that, this opportunities of so many people wanting to sign you and so on? Did you see that as a door that you had to really make the most of it?
I did at stages, but the gang life had me really, really trapped.
So when you talk about gang life, how did it all? Where did it start? Did it start with petty crime, or were you just hanging around with those people?
That's the thing. It started off with petty crime, with probably people that I was playing football with, in my area and whatnot.
When you talk about petty crime, what kind of things did you start doing?
Robbing people's phones, running in shops and just grabbing things and just really, really little stuff that was just so pointless at the time. It was really pointless things, really, really pointless.
Right. So how did it develop from there? How did you get into more trouble because of that?
The funny thing is, I never got into that much trouble. At 16, and it was a good thing, I signed for a club up in Manchester called Bolton, and which that sort of by default took me out of the gang life.
How long ago was that?
Well, now I'm 22, so it was like how many years is that?
So
6,
Bolton
7.
at that time, if I'm not mistaken, they were still in the Premier League.
Yeah, they were in the Premier League.
So you were signed by Bolton when they were still in the Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
That must have made any young kid say, I'm going to stop whatever I'm doing wrong and this is it.
Yeah, of course.
Why didn't you do that? Did you do that?
I stopped, but I still had the mentality. So I left the gang life, but I still kept the mentality of a gang person. So I would, up in Bolton, I would do things like get in trouble, things like I'll end up fighting someone, or, just things that the mentality stuck with me. I became vindictive, I became angry. I had a lot of, issues with myself as a person.
Where did that come from? Why were you such an angry person?
I couldn't really tell you. I think it's because I was in the gang life, people used to tell me, oh, you got to be like this, you got to be like that. And because I wanted to be highly, rated in the gang life, I started behaving like this sort of person. And I realized that sometimes I could get my way by being angry, more angry. And then it started to develop even more. It got to a stage where when I would get angry, I didn't know what I was doing.
Why couldn't you say, look, I want to be more highly rated in my football rather than in the gang life? That made a lot more sense, right?
Yeah, it really did. The thing is, what it was, I always had ability. And, my ability I wouldn't work hard, but I had ability. And my ability would always take me to the next step. Mm-hmm. So I didn't realize what I had at that moment.
They usually say that there's a lot of football players who are very gifted, but because they don't put the hard work in, then they fall through the cracks. That's exactly what happened to you.
Exactly what happened to me. And then as I got to 16, 17, I started getting involved more with like the girls and the high life and the partying and the drinking. And, I would go to a party on a Wednesday night when I've got training tomorrow morning, come back home at 4 a.m. You know what I mean? And then from there, it was like a cycle, just doing the same things.
What happened in the end with that football club?
What happened in the end is my performances started to go down. The players because in football, there's always competition. So the younger players that were taking things seriously were starting to get as good as me and almost as better than me. And it got to a stage where I didn't understand how everyone would develop so much more, and I hadn't. And then it come to a stage where I got to 18, and the last year of my contract, and my uncle died. Me and him was really close. My uncle died, and then the bubble that I was in started to burst a bit. Mm-hmm. My uncle died, and all of a sudden my mum was on a sick bed as well. So the two people that were always pushing me and speaking to me, they started to, it wasn't looking so pretty. And then after that, now, they didn't offer me a contract anymore. So then my bubble burst, and then the people that I accumulated from being in this, in this high life, they all sort of disappeared.
So you were left alone?
I was left alone. I was by myself. I didn't have no one. I literally didn't, like my mum who was probably my most, my safety net. She could be gone at any moment. So I felt like I was by myself.
It's like you conquered all these things in a very short space of time, and then everything fell apart.
Everything.
But we have to say that a lot of, apart from your family, your uncle passing away and your mom getting sick, you losing your contract and people getting better than you is because that was a lot of it was your doing.
Yeah, of course, definitely.
So a door was open for you and you shut the door.
I shut the door myself. I literally shut the door myself. Now I think about it, there's so much times where I could have easily been, training extra, but I was maybe on the phone to a girl, or I was talking about the next party I'm going to go to, or preparing how I'm going to get to this. And
your coaches, didn't they get angry at you and upset?
They did. They always used to tell me, your ability, don't you know your ability? Don't you know how good you are? Don't you know? And I was just like, yeah. Always thinking that, I'm always going to get another contract.
What did you do when you lost everything? When you lost the contract, when your family, your mom was sick and you felt the bubble burst, what happened? What
had happened is that I started to find myself, when I started drinking stupidly, so to say, but I find myself just drinking for the sake of drinking, not socially drinking anymore, but sometimes even in my house just drinking, alcohol for no reason. Mm-hmm. And then all these things started to happen, and I was still getting opportunity, I was still getting trials, but because I was more defeated at the fact that I've lost, you know, at Bolton, it started to affect my other trials as well. So I wasn't doing as well in the other trials. I wasn't focused. My mind was all over the place. I started partying even more. The girls came even more, you know, and then by time went on and on and on, and I wasn't the same ability anymore.
Let me ask you a final question before we go for the break. Did you get to a point where you stopped trying, where you thought, this is not going to happen anymore, let me just let go of this?
I didn't get to a point like that, but I got to a point where I didn't see how I was going to get out of it. I didn't stop. I always kept on going, but I felt like, I'm never going to make it now. But I just kept on going because that's all I know how to do.
So you were trying, but in the back of your mind, you didn't believe you were going to get it.
I didn't believe.
Okay, and that's how many people are right now. They're even trying, you know, they apply for jobs because they know it's the right thing to do, but they can't see a way out of the poverty. They actually call it the poverty trap, right? Where you're better off on benefits than your wife if you get a job. And maybe you don't see how you're going to get out of that one. Maybe you don't see how you're ever going to get a relationship that's going to make you happy, where you're going to be happy in. Maybe you don't see where you're ever going to find a way of building a life that you're content with. Maybe you stop trying. Or you try because you're on autopilot. That's what you know how to do, like Raphael said. But you're going to hear how he turned his life around because he managed to do that. And you can learn to do that as well. After the break, you're going to hear from him how he managed to turn his life around. We'll be right back.
Uplifting. Diverse.
Vibrant. Dynamic.
Powerful. Youthful. Informative.
Energizing. Passionate.
Motivational. Freedom. Lively.
Excitement.
Hello and welcome to Love Talk.
And basically it was just to meet the in-laws and get their trust in.
Well, myself.
Yeah, you got it right.
Yeah,
I'm actually happy for you.
Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me, right? That's how they say.
That's a good one.
Run away from temptation. Run. Then run another one.
This is so serious.
There is the right kind of honesty and the wrong kind of honesty.
welcome back to Finding Answers. Tonight our topic is when one door closes, another opens. And if you feel that you've had opportunities that you've lost, or maybe you've even closed the door yourself and you'd like to talk to somebody, then do phone one of our advisors. Our number is 020 7686 6300, or you can send us an email and I'm happy to read that out live on air if you wish. The email address is help@findinganswers.tv. Now, for our topic, as usual, we've been out and about talking to the general public to get their opinions, and today we've asked them, do you think that when an opportunity is lost, there can always be another opportunity around the corner?
Definitely depression is probably number one.
They're arguing and they're talking negatively about each other.
What is more valuable than another? And
I think you can have as many friends and families as you want. It just depends.
Is a common regret, like, oh, like I should have like asked that person out, or like.
When one door closes, another opens. Is this true? Well, I'm on the streets of London finding out how optimistic or maybe pessimistic the public really are. Let's see what they say. Do you think when an opportunity is lost, there can always be another opportunity around the corner?
I think so. I do believe. And I believe that everything happens for us for a certain reason. So sometimes happen things in your life in terms of opportunity you lose, but we get kind of upset. But at the end of the day, when the one door closes, probably there is a bigger one in front of you, like waiting for a bigger opportunity. And then say, wow, I'm here.
Yeah, I think because when we have God, God is everything in our life. So nothing Him is impossible. If you lost some opportunity, don't worry. Ask God, pray a lot, so He will give you more and more opportunity in your life. You can do whatever you want to do.
Once you get the chance to show yourself and you don't show it, that's the opportunity gone. So yeah, take it or leave it.
Well, someone said something interesting there, that with God you keep trying, and it's true, that's important. But the thing is, you know, there's a lot of people who don't necessarily believe in God and they keep going. And that's the important thing. Of course, with God, you can make the impossible become possible. Now, going back to your story, Raphael, you lost a very big opportunity you had. We learned by your own doing, by your own choices. But at what point did you come to the church? When did you decide to come? How bad was your life at that point?
And at this point, my mum was, like I said, my mum was on a sick bed. Nothing was going on in my football career. I felt like I had no friends. I had nothing, literally nothing. And day to day I was just literally waking up and going to sleep. I got to a point where I was so depressed. I was in my room. I didn't do nothing else. I was just in my room. I didn't know what to do. Then I was literally, I think I was going to the hospital to meet my mum. She was gradually getting better. And I saw a friend who attended the church. He invited me to come, and I was like, I don't really want to come. He was just like, you know, you have nothing to lose. Like, I was explaining him my story, and he said, yeah, nothing to lose, just come. So I came to the church, and from the first moment, you know, speaking to the pastor, you know, I said to him, he asked me, what do I want to be? I said, I want to be a footballer, but I'm thinking of going to university, and he said to me, stop. For you to become a footballer, do you need to go to university? And I said, no. So he said to me, so already then you're giving up. Mm-hmm. And that made me think, you know, and then, you know, I started attending the church even more and more. And they started building things in me that, you know, started making me think of ways that made me stronger. Mm-hmm. It started making me think much more in what I'm doing and all these things. And then it started work, and then I started realizing that before me to change my outside, I need to change my inside. And then that became the most important thing for me, how to change the inside person, because
that person you were, sorry to cut in on you, but that person you were, you had become, was a very angry person.
Very.
You had given up virtually on your dreams. Mm-hmm. You had made some very poor choices. So before you even carried on into pursuing your dream, you needed to change the person you were.
Yeah, that was the first and foremost thing for me. I had to change who I was, no matter what. Like I lost friends because of the way I was. You know, I remember one time I even attacked one of my own friends for him saying shut up or something like that, you know.
Because of your anger?
Because of my anger. and my anger was wrong. But then that was the thing. I wanted to change so badly, but I didn't know how to. And then coming to the church, they made me understand that I need to find the root of these things. What makes me angry? What makes me vindictive? What makes me, act the way I do? And from there, from when I started finding out these things just started getting better and better, day by day. It wasn't easy, it definitely wasn't easy, but it helped me so much that I got to a point where I was telling everybody that you have to come here. Because, I know people go through problems, but I got so happy with how I was as a person. I started, calling everybody in, come. They changed my mind in terms of like, there's a story that my pastor was telling us about King David and him against Goliath. And everybody knows the story, but the way the story was put to me was David saw Goliath not as a problem, but as opportunity. Because we all know if David didn't kill Goliath, then he wouldn't be the king that he is, or he was at the time. So it started to make me think, maybe if I saw my problems as not just a problem, but an opportunity to conquer it and stand on top of it and use it as a platform, to stand there and almost beat my chest and say, look, I've conquered this, and that's just sort of the things that they were using,
And that's a very interesting analogy, because problems are indeed opportunities. And just something I wanted to point out is that you wanted to change so badly, but you didn't change before. You changed only when you ask for God's help. Because the thing is, you can want to do things, for example, sometimes maybe you want to forgive someone who hurt you, someone that you hate, but you can't forgive. But God can help you to forgive. Maybe you have this temper, this anger, like you were saying, and maybe you've tried everything to let go of that anger, but you can't. But God can help you to let go of that anger. And that's what He does. He does all the things that you can't do. So now you've become, are you still an angry person?
I'm far from it. People that know me, I'm always happy. I find it hard to have a bad day. Like, honestly, I find it hard to have a bad day. I don't know how to be angry sometimes, which is a bit bad, but...
Which is good.
Yeah, it's
good. That means you're calm, right?
It is good.
And that means that you truly changed.
Yeah, I'm so happy for the person.
And what about the drinking and the womanizing?
The drinking was cut off in the first few months. The womanizing took a bit longer, but I definitely cut that off, and it doesn't affect me anymore.
And what's the plan for the future now?
The plan is to keep chasing my dream, to keep on going, conquering many things, and just be happy. And not also that, but to spread the happiness that I have to others.
And you see, before you had the talent, but you didn't have the hard work. Now you have both.
I have both.
So now you can do all the things you couldn't do before.
Yeah, definitely.
So Raphael, thank you so much for being here and sharing your story, because that story is amazing. And I want to let you know that if you want God's help to do what you feel you cannot do by yourself, whether it's forgiving, whether it's, that drive and determination that you used to have and you lost. Maybe sometimes you've even had a few opportunities in front of you, but you've decided to think, what's the point of me trying if every time I try, I fall short? So maybe you don't try anymore. Maybe you stop trying, and what would happen if you would have tried? Let me just say this to you. Let's open the plan of the camera, please. Let's open it, because I want to stand up. I want to tell you something. Yeah, this camera. I don't know which camera. This one? Okay, let me tell you something. Please, make it. That's right. I want to stand up. I don't know, this camera, that camera. Let me tell you something. They usually say this. What would you try to do if you knew that you wouldn't fail? Imagine you were sure that you wouldn't fail in what you would try to do. Then you would try to do anything. Whatever would come to your mind for you to achieve, you would try it, because you knew for sure that you would get it. So why not try to live your life like that? Why question, if I do this, is it really going to work? Why think like that? Why not flip the coin and say, this is going to work? It's going to work because I'm going to give it my all, my best. And if it didn't happen, at least you learned something. Like Thomas Edison, he didn't fail 10,000 times. He just learned another way of how not to do the light bulb. So he tried something different. And thank God because otherwise we wouldn't be able to have a TV program, right? Because we have light here on us to make the studio bright. So we owe this show to Thomas Edison because he failed that many times. So it's okay that you fail. It's okay that you fail as long as you keep going, because at some point you are going to succeed. I want you to think about that. And if you gave up, I want you to know that we're here for you. Speak to someone, speak to our team right now who are here to help you, to motivate you, to tell you that you can succeed. The number to call is 020-7686-6300. I want to show you this video before we go for a break, and when we come back, I'll have Pastor Abraham here with me.
Many people say like this to me, oh, I'm a very private person. I don't like to share. But I have been like this as well. Until the day that I realized that if I didn't open up, I wouldn't be helped by anyone, and I needed help.
So today was my first time and I absolutely loved it.
Our thoughts really affect those three main areas, and for me, really being positive today was really just a big eye opener how positive changes will make such a big difference in all that I do. So yeah.
They break it down so you can work on it bit by bit, and then before you know it, you're closer to your goal.
You get what you give out.
Women need this. Women need a meeting like this.
Welcome back. You know, this is why sometimes it's good being a child, because a child, no matter how many times a child fails at doing something, the child keeps going, right? Even if you try to tell a child, don't do this, she's going to keep going because she wants to find out if it's possible. You know, when a child starts walking, she falls, she gets a couple of bruises, but that's part of the process. And this kind of stubbornness, but a good stubbornness, is important that we have in us. It's important that we have the kind of thought and mentality that says, when someone tells me I can't do something, that's when I'm going to try. Not because I want to prove them wrong, but because I want to exceed and to excel against people's expectations. Right? And this is the important bit in life. And we were saying, good evening, Pastor Abraham, by the way.
Good evening, James. Yeah.
We were saying earlier that if a person stops trying, they might as well be dead.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you don't try anymore, then there's no point of being alive. What's the point of breathing and being alive if you're not going to try?
You'll be just surviving. At the end of the day, you'll be frustrated, as many people we have nowadays. And you know, James, you were asking something really, really interesting. You were asking, if you know the person knew that he or she would try and would not fail, what is it should do then? So, with God, it's exactly this. Because God's the only one who promised. He's the only one who promised, and He fulfills His promise, saying that if you try, if you do my way, I will take you to another level, because He's the only one who can do everything new. And you know, James, especially because people nowadays, they are tired. That's the truth. They are tired of being trying, getting the same result. But of course, because they try in the same way. They try in the same way. But if they do something different, the result will also be different.
And a lot of people say, well, but I've tried everything. You haven't tried everything.
No one has ever tried everything.
No one. You may have tried quite a few things, but you haven't tried everything, right? You can't say, I've tried everything under the sun. You haven't. Perhaps you've tried some things, like Abraham said, and it hasn't worked. But perhaps what you haven't done is to try things in a different way, to try things with God. Maybe you say, well, James, I've gone to churches. I'm not saying if you've gone to church. Everybody's going to church. Most people have gone to churches, to temples, to religions. We're saying for you to seek the living God. You know, I remember, Abraham, I used to, before I found out about this living faith we now have and this God who changes lives, I used to believe in God, but I used to carry a paper with a picture of a saint or something, and you know, each one to their own. But that couldn't help me. That was a paper, that was an image. But when I learned that my God wasn't limited to that picture, to an image, that He's everywhere, He's powerful, then I understood that there's no limit to what I can achieve.
Yeah, because once we have this God in us, so there is no limit in us. There is no limit anymore. And sometimes people, they find themselves limited. So, but when we develop this living faith, as you talk about, so in the living God, so there is no limit anymore. Whatever you want, my dear friend, you can get it. He said to you, let the weak say, I'm strong. So it means, if you know, the person is watching us now, tired of trying, feeling disappointed and weak, she just needs to say, no, I can make it, and I'll make it.
And you know, it doesn't say let the weak be strong.
No.
It says let the weak say I'm strong. Maybe you feel weak.
But she's not weak.
Yeah, maybe you feel weak, but you have to say I am strong. James, but I don't feel strong, but you have to say it anyway. Say it anyway. It's like a boxer. A boxer may know he's going to lose, but he's not going to say that to his opponent. No, right?
He went to the battle then to wrestle. Yes or no? I'm going to go.
He may know the other guy's stronger than him. He may know he's going to lose in the first round, but he's never going to say it. Never. So he goes there and he's maybe smaller, but he makes himself stronger. And that's what God wants from you. All He wants from you is that you don't stop trying, is that you keep going, is that you say, I'm going to try until the end of my life, but I'm going to make this happen. This is called obstinance. You know what obstinance means? Obstinance means that you're so possessed by a thought of achieving something that nothing can change your mind. Nothing can change your mind. And this is what you need to open doors. This is what you need to make the miracle happen. This is to be obstinate, to say, I don't care if I failed before. I don't care if I've believed in things before, gone to churches before. I'm going to try this. And no matter what happens, I'm going to make it happen. Even if I have the world against me, even if I failed 100 times, I'm going to try. And that's why sometimes you need to speak to someone, because maybe you feel a little bit down, but that person is going to tell you, listen, we're going to fight this together and we're going to succeed.
Yeah, it's the agreement. The agreement is really important, because the agreement is going to make you stronger. Perhaps you are watching us and say, I feel weak, I've tried with so many people, but the person who's going to be talking to you right now is completely different. The mentality is different. The spirit is different. The person is not limited by the feelings. No, I feel also weak. No. That person, you say, we are strong and we are together.
I have here already in my hands the glass of water that we are going to bless during this prayer. What I'd like you to do now is I'd like you to prepare your own. Prepare your own glass of water. Myself, Pastor Abraham, and Raphael, who gave his testimony, will be praying now. And we're going to ask God that He will give you this obstinance against your failures, against your problems, and you can overcome. He can give you the strength that you don't have for you to overcome. By yourself, on your own, maybe you can't, but with His help, you can. Let's prepare our glass with water. Let's talk to God now.
Prepare now for the moment of prayer. If you would like a prayer concerning your financial life, send your name and prayer request to prayer@findinganswers.tv.
My Lord, in the name of the Lord Jesus, as I talk to you now, as I make this prayer, as I offer this prayer on behalf of this person who's praying with me now, I can only imagine how many people have resigned and accepted to failure. They've said, okay, this is as far as I can go. I've given up on trying to change my rebellious son. I've given up on trying to find a cure for my illness. I've given up on trying to find happiness in my love life, in my relationships. Perhaps that's what this person has done, my Lord. They've gone to different places, gone to different churches, knocked different doors. But no matter what they've tried, the doors have always been closed. My Father, but you have the key. You have the power to open every door. You said in your word, my Lord, that the gates of hell cannot prevail against those who believe in you. So if the gates of hell cannot prevail, never mind a problem that is here, a physical problem that is here. This person has the power within them, in their faith, to overcome this problem. Perhaps they just give up. I pray that right now, my Lord, they may receive an injection of strength. When this person drinks of this water, this person who had a drinking problem, who had an addiction, let them receive the strength to overcome this addiction. This person who was sick, who was in constant pain, day and night, let that pain cease right now. I believe it can happen, and I believe it happens right now. Let the pain vanish now, my God, so that when this person calls, they will not just be calling to ask for prayer, but they'll be calling to testify of what you have done in their life. Let this person here, who maybe had given up, receive the strength that they could only imagine that existed. Let them receive it now. May this water be a contact, a point of contact between this person and you. I consecrate this water. I bless it in the name of the Father, the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. And I determine that those who drink of it will receive now the power, the strength to proceed, to go through every door that was in front of them, whether it was closed or open. In Jesus' name, you may now drink of this water where you are. Very well. Sometimes you just have to use your faith. And I want to invite you for you to do that. If you want to visit the church during this week, you can do that. We'll be available there for a one-to-one. Should you want to book an appointment right now to come and see us on a one-to-one basis, myself or Pastor Abraham, it will be a pleasure for us to be able to do that. Our hourly rate, if you want to know how much we charge to see you for an hour, our hourly rate is?
There's no fee whatsoever.
0. That's our rate. Our pleasure is to see you overcoming your problems. If you'd like to do that, you can contact our team and set up an appointment to see us. Until tomorrow, have a wonderful night. May God bless you.